Good day, everyone. Welcome back once again to our math tutorial. And for today's lesson, we are going to talk about complex numbers. What are complex numbers? Before we will proceed with the operations concerning complex numbers, we will define first what it is. Basically, complex numbers are the numbers that are expressed in the form of a plus ib. So the only difference in here is that complex numbers has I, where ab are real numbers and I is an imaginary number called iota. So once again, the equation or the form of complex numbers are in this form or is in this form a plus ib. If it doesn't have an I in it, then it's not a complex numbers. And then I is the imaginary. Okay, so let's define I. I or iota is equal to the square root of -1. And then if we're going to square this, we will get I squared is equal to -1, which means that I squared is equal to -1 and I is equal to the square root of 1. Please remember this basic concept as we will be able to use this on our operations and higher applications of complex numbers or imaginary numbers. Let's have an example. So in this case, we'll do it with an addition. So we have to simplify 3 plus 2i plus 3 minus 2i's. All we have to do is to distribute this sign on the second term, but of course this is a plus sign, so no one will change. So this will be equal to 3 plus 2i, just copy the first term, plus 3 minus 2i. Okay, perform the indicated operation, combine like terms. So the constants, we have 3 and 3. So that's 6. And then 2i minus 2i, that's equal to 0. So, which means that our value here is just 6. Remove this. Just 6. Okay? For our second example, in this case, we have a negative sign, minus in the middle of two terms. So 3 plus 2i minus 3 minus 2i. Once again, we need to distribute first the sign to the second terms. Alright, it will go like this. So we have 3 plus 2i. And then negative times 3 is -3. And then negative times -2i, that's positive 2i. Alright, combine like terms. Constants, 3 minus 3 is just 0. And then 2i plus 2i is 4i. Which means that the simplified form for this is just 4i. So easy, right? And our third example will be a multiplication of complex numbers. All we have to do is to what we call this, distribute the first term to the second term. Okay, so we will have 9. And then 3 times -2i is -6i. And then 2i times 3 is equal to positive 6i. And lastly, positive 2i times negative 2i is negative 4i squared. Alright, so in this case, guys, as you can see, negative 6i plus 6 is just equal to 0. And then, let's apply the theorem that I squared is just equal to negative 1, as per our definition earlier. So we will have 9 minus 4. We will replace I squared with negative 1. So this is minus 1. Simplify. We will have 9. And then negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. Perform the operation. We will get 9 plus 4 is 13. Which means that our final answer is 13. So easy, right? Alright, so let's go with our last example. It's the division of the complex numbers. So just like the radicals, if the denominator is a complex number, then we need to rationalize. Okay, make it rational. What will happen in this, we call this example, is, let's copy, 3 minus 2i divided by 3 plus 2i. Okay, we will just multiply the whole term with the conjugate of the denominator. When we say conjugate, the sign is the opposite of the denominator. So we will have 3, since this is plus, so we'll multiply it with 2 minus 2i. All over 3 minus 2i, both numerator and denominator. Okay, so let's perform the operation. Let's go first with our denominator. So distribute once again. We have 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times negative 2i is negative 6i. Next, negative 2i times 3 is negative 6i. And lastly, negative 2i times negative 2i, that's positive 4i squared. Divided by 3 times 3 is just 9. Or, okay, let's solve this. And then 3 times negative 2i is negative 6i. Next, 2i times 3 is positive 6i. And lastly, negative 2i times positive 2i is equal to negative 4i squared. Okay. Alright, so let's replace I squared with negative 1. And as you can see, this is just 0. Then this one will add into 12i. Okay, we will have 9 on the numerator minus 12i. And then 4 times negative 1 is just negative 4. And on the denominator, we will have 9 minus 4. So what is I squared? Negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4. Perform the indicated operation. We have 9 minus 4, that's 5. minus 12i all over 9 plus 4 is just 30. Or you can write this as 5 over 13 minus 12 over 13i. So it is in the form a plus bi. So easy, right? Complex numbers like multiplication, addition, division, subtraction, addition is just easy. Just be familiar with what is the value of I and then I squared. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like me to, or if you would like me to teach you a math topic that you found it hard, please you can comment down below, or you can send me a personal message so I can make it, or I can make a video tutorial out of it. Thank you and have a good day.